Hi, I'm Carl Azuz for CNN 10. After substantial investigative journalism, I can now confirm definitively that Fridays are awesome. It is great to be wrapping up the week with you. We have a report out of the United Kingdom to kick things off today. We told you on Wednesday how an agreement on Brexit, a plan for how Britain would leave the European Union, failed. The deal was made between the EU and the administration of British Prime Minister Theresa May, but it needed to be approved by Britain's Parliament first, and British lawmakers voted against it. After that happened, the leader of Britain's Labour Party, which opposes the Conservative Party that's in power, called for a no-confidence vote in Prime Minister May's government. That could have led to major changes in Britain's leadership.
In US politics, when the president dies, resigns, or is impeached, finding their replacement is straightforward. The vice president steps up, and after them, the Speaker of the House. But in British politics, the rules are a lot more complicated. A Prime Minister can resign, but in the UK, if Parliament or their own MPs are unhappy with their leadership, they can also be forced out. During World War II, even Winston Churchill survived 2 so-called votes of no confidence from Parliament over his management of the war. And almost 50 years later, Margaret Thatcher was ousted from office by disgruntled MPs in her own party, and she chose to resign. In the UK, a PM's own political party chooses their successor, and each has a different way of doing that. Conservative MPs elect 2 candidates from a choice of MPs who put themselves forwards. Then, the public membership of the party votes for the winner. However, most Brits aren't registered members of a political party. Unlike the Conservatives, in the Labour Party, once candidates are endorsed by Labour parliamentarians, registered members from the general public have as much say as politicians. Members vote, and if one candidate wins 50% of the ballots, then they win the election. If no one does, then the least popular candidate is eliminated, and voters' second preferences are considered, until one candidate holds 50% of the votes. This allows unexpected choices for party leader, like Jeremy Corbyn, a far-left candidate. He was elected to head Labour in 2015 after a groundswell of popular support. Parliamentary rules mean that if this new leader can form a new government within 2 weeks, he or she can hold on to the PM seat. This is how Theresa May came to power after David Cameron resigned in 2016. But before they officially become PM, the royal family has to have a say. This is the United Kingdom, after all. The Prime Minister serves at the pleasure of the monarch. So before the PM can move into number 10 Downing Street, the official residence, they pop by Buckingham Palace to request the Queen's blessing to form an official government. And with that, the UK has a new PM.
But the vote held in the British government on Wednesday confirmed that May still has the confidence of lawmakers. In December, she won a confidence vote within her own Conservative Party. This week, the bigger House of Commons, which includes hundreds more lawmakers from several more parties, voted in favor of Prime Minister May's government staying in power. The count was 325 to 306. The nation's leader still has the immense challenge of figuring out Brexit, but she also gets to keep her job as the person to do it and to lead Britain. 10-second trivia. Patriot, Stinger, and Tomahawk are all names of what? Military missions, missiles, modeling agencies, or monster trucks? All of these are the names of missiles used by the U.S. military. A review of U.S. weapons that was discussed Thursday was focused on missile defense, protecting America against missile threats from other countries. When President Donald Trump visited the Pentagon to discuss America's strategy, he mentioned defending the U.S. from space. The plan would be to deploy sensors there that could discover when a missile was fired from the ground and then keep track of where it went. It's not clear what the cost would be for a program like that. Other options for missile defense could include lasers deployed from drones that would destroy incoming weapons, and a system that's now in place uses interceptor missiles to blow up ones that are in flight. A company that makes those also manufactures computer-guided cruise missiles.
The Tomahawk is considered the world's most advanced cruise missile. It's been used in combat more than 2,000 times by the U.S. Navy, from Syria to Sudan to Serbia. And all of the new Tomahawks come out of one factory, this one, in a city and state we've been asked not to reveal for security reasons. The 20-foot-long Tomahawks are manufactured by the Raytheon Company. Kim Ernzen is one of Raytheon's top missile executives.
And this is the final configuration before it goes out the door to our customer. In this facility is where we do the integration of the rocket motors and the warheads, what we call the energetics elements of the missiles. Other components and subassemblies come from our other factories located here, and then we do the final assembly here, test it, fuel it, and get it ready to go out the door.
How soon will these be going out the door?
In the next couple of days.
In this factory, 14 Tomahawks are about to be shipped out. Workers here are performing what they call a roll test to make sure there is nothing loose inside the missile and that everything is connected properly. Raytheon's contract with the Navy is for 196 missiles for this year.
Tomahawk can fly 1,000+ miles, so it can get launched from a ship or a submarine. It can go up and loiter, as we call it, where it can fly around in a figure 8.
So in other words, once it's sent off, if you want to change where it's going,
Absolutely.
It loiters, it just goes in a circle and you figure out where.
It can be redirected and rerouted to a specific target.
The Tomahawk has been around since the 1980s, but this is the newest version of the missile, manufactured since 2004. It can be used for up to 30 years, and Tomahawks that haven't been used come back after 15 years for recertification and upgrades.
So this is the rocket motor that launches it out of the vertical launch system. So it is what propels it out. So when you see the footage of a missile coming out of a ship, it is the plume that gets it out of that vertical launch. And as you move more up toward the front is the navigation, communication system, and then ultimately up here at the very end is the warhead, and it is a 1,000-pound warhead.
With their GPS guidance, the Tomahawks can strike within mere feet of a target. They are launched from ships or submarines.
If it comes from a submarine, it will then swim through the water. The rocket motor will take it up out of the water, and then we'll eventually get it up into the airplane mode, which is where it will fly and perform its mission from there.
So it swims and it flies.
Swims and it flies.
The price tag per missile, about $1.1 million.
Each Tomahawk weighs about 3,500 pounds. So when 60 of them were fired towards Syria, that was about 210,000 pounds of firepower.
People who work here tell us this isn't just a job.
It is an honor to be able to work for the men and women in uniform and to be able to supply them with a competitive advantage when they're put in harm's way. And that's what we do. We make sure that they have an unfair advantage out in theater.
So that's what you said, that this gives the U.S. military an unfair advantage.
Absolutely. And we want to keep it that way.
Gary Tuchman, CNN.
Lesser-known creations made with three-dimensional printers, musical flutes, shoes, a bridge. And unlike the 3D printed coat hooks or phone cases you've seen, this thing is made of concrete and it spans more than 86 feet over a pond in Shanghai, China. Dozens of hollow concrete sections were printed and then joined together to make it. The bridge is also said to be more than 30% cheaper to build than a traditional one. Of course, it's not a bridge over troubled water. It may not get many sighs. For those who can't travel to China, it's a bridge too far, and people who build bridges on rivers might ask, why? But it does take old methods and bridge them with new technology, so we'll see if it stands the test of time. I'm Carl Azuz. We'll be off next Monday for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. We'll look forward to seeing you Tuesday when CNN 10 returns.